All right, Andrew Yang dropped out of the 2020 presidential race yesterday in what is being considered as a not a memorable move, or not memorable, not a surprising move, but definitely something that I wasn't expecting as quickly as it happened. I mean, I expected Andrew Yang to eventually drop out. I mean, he was doing terrible in the polls, doing terrible in the caucuses, doing terrible in general. I mean, the fact that he was able to even get on debate stages and get as much momentum as he has and as much media coverage as he's gotten has been surprising to me. But what's more importantly is, he never had a chance of winning. He never had the chance to win. He never had the chance to become the Democratic nominee. He was going to just take up space on the stage of people like Mike Bloomberg, who might actually have a chance of winning the Democratic nomination. I'm kidding, by the way. This podcast today is brought to you by Mike Bloomberg for president. Mike Bloomberg has been overwhelmingly owning the television and internet space, everything that's been possibly that you can possibly see an advertisement on. Mike Bloomberg has purchased that spot. But let's go talk about Andrew Yang. So yesterday, during the New Hampshire primary, Andrew Yang announced that he was dropping out of the race officially, stating that he's a numbers guy, which is true. He is a numbers guy, and he did something that even Joe Biden won't do at this point, which is, get out of the way for other potential Democrats. Andrew Yang said, "I'm a numbers guy." He told the Washington Post, "In these upcoming states, I'm not going to be at a threshold where I get delegates, which makes sticking around not necessarily helpful or productive in terms of furthering the goal of this campaign." He later went on and said, if I become persuaded that there's a particular candidate that gives us a superior chance of beating Donald Trump, and I think it's important to make that opinion known, then I would consider it for sure as far as if he would endorse a certain candidate or not. So basically, at this point, what we have Andrew Yang, who at this point, he knows that his campaign has no viability. His campaign has no potential to actually win the race, and he is going ahead and he's dropping out, and hopefully at some point, he will say to his supporters, hey, you know what, going back so-and-so, going back Mike Bloomberg, going back Joe Biden. These are the people who actually have the chance of winning the nomination. I'm not saying that Mike Bloomberg has the chance to win the nomination, but he did add that he said that one of the reasons why he's dropping out is because he doesn't want to be Elizabeth Warren, who is taking money from people to run a campaign that has no chance of winning, even though Elizabeth Warren probably has a better chance than he does at this point. Yang said, I'm not someone who wants to take people's donations, support, and time and dedication if I don't think I have a chance to win or advance our goals in the right direction. So, which is important to know, because yes, if you are a candidate who doesn't have the viability, you should step out of the way. You should become somebody who isn't necessarily going to be a hindrance to that platform, which is why when John Kasich stood in the way of Donald Trump or attempted to stand in the way of Donald Trump, it became more of a nuisance and a sidestep that Trump didn't need to take to actually get the nomination, because in reality, all it did was prolong the fact that Trump was going to become nominated. And at this point, I don't know who is going to be nominated on the left. I really don't. I think it's really up to the people. I mean, there's a lot. This is anybody's game to win in one aspect, but the numbers say something different. And Andrew Yang stepping out of the way is the best thing he could have done, because now he becomes more efficient as a non-candidate campaigner for somebody else's campaign. He can go out there and he can get someone else's message out for them and really drive home the point that they're trying to make in opposition to trying to take away the momentum or whatever momentum there is for other candidates to try to get that nomination. Andrew Yang was most famous for his quote unquote freedom dividend, which was him giving $1,000 a month, or the government giving $1,000 a month to every U.S. citizen, I believe 16 years or older, to help. Which, part of me is like, yeah, you know what? I wouldn't mind having an extra $1,000 a month. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't say no to the $1,000 a month being deposited into my bank account. However, what I don't like is the fact that it's going to lead to increase in taxes. It's going to lead to inflation. Having an extra $1,000 a month naturally makes sense. If you go out and you earn $1,000 a month, and reinvest in the economy, yeah, that makes sense. But just handing somebody $1,000 every month is going to make everything else much more expensive. Cost of living is going to rise. $1,000 isn't going to actually help anybody in that term, in that point in time. So Andrew Yang, stepping aside, I won't be surprised if we see him run in 2024.